Good evening and welcome to all the participants. This is 168th session that we have begun just now. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Vasudha. Welcome, ma'am. Good evening and thank you for agreeing to speak on our leadership conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very quickly, to save some time, I will do a brief introduction and hand it over back to you for your opening remarks. These are WiseViews leadership conversations. Over the last 3.5 years, we have been holding these conversations every Friday. These leadership conversations request leaders from all walks of life, from business, entrepreneurship, from leadership in areas like social sector, from sports, from spiritual world, so on and so forth. So leadership lessons that we are planning to learn from all walks of life. And similarly, the people who join, the attendees, they are not our students, but they are from various domains. They hail from across various cities and towns in this country. Welcome to the 168th session. This is Cure to Care series with Yoga and Ayurveda. This will be held by Dr. Vasudha, who has already joined us. This introduction and opening remarks will be for about 20 minutes or so, followed by 40 minutes of Q&A, which is budgeted, but I think we will have a little lesser than 40 minutes given the schedule of Doctor. But I'll request her to stay for the entire 60 minutes if possible. This is Dr. Vasudha. She's the co-founder of Vivekananda Health Global. She's a remarkable leader and visionary in the field of holistic health and wellness. She has dedicated her career to the integration of ancient wisdom and modern science, particularly through the synergistic practices of yoga and Ayurveda. Her extensive experience spans over 2 decades in various roles, including her current position as Managing Director of Vyasa Healthcare Private Limited, where she continues to lead initiatives that promote the healing potential of integrative medicine. She has not only specialized in treating migraine and gynecological issues, but also has developed comprehensive modules for antenatal and postnatal care, demonstrating her commitment to women's health and community welfare. With a PhD focused on the management of migraine through these ancient disciplines, she has pioneered innovative approaches to pain management and rehabilitation that are both effective and cost efficient, which is an invaluable contribution in an era dominated by allopathic practices and medicinal practices. In a world where acceptance of holistic practices is growing now, especially among the younger generation, Dr. Sharma is a strong advocate for the transformative power of Ayurveda and yoga. She believes that by integrating these ancient practices into our daily lives, we can achieve not only physical well-being, but also mental clarity and emotional resilience. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, ma'am, for agreeing to spend this time with us. I'm sure we are going to learn a lot through this interaction. I also take it as a pleasure to introduce my esteemed colleague, Dr. Prasad. He brings 3 decades of rich experience to the table, and he holds a BTech from IIT Bombay and a PGDM from IIM Kolkata. Welcome, Professor Prasad. Thank you so much, and we'll stop sharing the screen here. And we'll jump into the discussion by requesting Dr. Vasudha to start the opening remarks. Kindly share your screen and start your presentation, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Really a pleasure to be here with all of you and on the ICFAI online series. Well, I'm here today to give more insight about yoga and Ayurveda. Let's quickly understand about how they've been very beneficial in the management of health problems and also in the prevention of health problems. That's where we coined the word and say cure to care, and that's very important for us to understand as we move ahead and spend the next maybe 40-50 minutes. When we talk about Ayurveda, yes, most of them know it's an Indian system of healing and very well getting a lot of attention these days. But what exactly it talks about? Let me start with this initial brief. We talk about balancing of a lot of different aspects when it comes to Ayurveda. For example, what all it involves. The 3 doshas, which we call as Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the digestive fire, the tissues or the dhatu, the excretory system. And not only this, it emphasizes on balancing the mind, sense organs, and the soul, which is the Atma. So beautiful definition, what it talks about. How do you balance in what is the right state of health? It says, Samadosha Samadnishcha Samadhatu Malakriyaha Parasan Atmendriya Manaha Swastha Itya Vidiyeta. This is the definition of a healthy individual, what all he's supposed to carry with him. Likewise, when we talk about yoga, once again speaks about balancing the mind. So samatvam yoga uchyate is the basic connotation which we understand. Samatva is once again equanimity, and that's what it brings in at the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. And when we talk about yoga, it's also defined as that it brings in the consciousness into the person and therefore helps the person in understanding and the thought processes and also balancing them. So it says that manah prashamanopayaha yogaha, manaha prashamana. So this is beautifully explained in Sanskrit verses, and we are of course just highlighting the very, very basic pointers today. So when you look at this, we bring in the components of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which are the three major components in the body as per Ayurveda, and the Triguna, which are the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So a lot of it is based on these three physical components and the three mental components. And this is how we define the state of health. We also examine patients with health problems, and we also help them prevent health problems, because the three areas, even where we work in Vivekananda Health, is also preventive health, disease management, or offer them curative therapies, and also work in the space of rehabilitation. And when we consider all of these aspects, it's important to take these three variable aspects, especially the mind and body. And this is where the primary focus of the systems of healing, especially Ayurveda, yoga, and naturopathic medicine are. And this is extremely important for us to get better. I'll just take an example here. Suppose a person comes with a history of migraine, because I also have worked in the field of migraine. My doctoral work has been there. So when we take care of migraine patients, somebody is extremely stressed. Now, that person has been doing everything possible, but his stress levels are so high. So obviously his frequency of headache, intensity of headache is also the same. Therefore, as we start working on the physical components, give him maybe an Ayurveda therapy like a Panchakarma. And as we give him yoga, this is what we try and balance. And that is where we very, very specifically see significant reduction in these frequency, intensity, usage of medicines, because many of them are dependent on medication, especially analgesics or painkillers when it comes to pain-related problems. Any pain, I just gave an example of migraine. When I say pain, it can be a head pain, a neck pain, a back pain, a shoulder pain. All these are inflammatory conditions, and it is all research is also very specifically mentioned that many a times pain is just emitting out because of your mind. So much impact of management of pain with respect to emotions as well. Therefore, when we look at the personalized treatment solutions we provide, we bring in these components, try to analyze the Prakriti, and then give them Prakriti-based food, and also ensure that they follow the right lifestyle, help them with medication, yoga, essential lifestyle, and also some therapies. Bringing just everybody's attention into this very important aspect of what Ayurveda talks about. We talk about Agni, we talk about the digestive fire, and it is said to be the root cause for a problem. And it is important that we correct the Agni for also getting off the problem. That is where modern science research has now brought in the concept of gut microbiome. So we have a very, very classical integration between brain and gut axis. Now, this is what we deal with when it comes to migraine, and all the research towards migraine is focused on the brain gut axis now. And this is where Ayurveda 5,000 years ago spoke about how we can manage migraine, bringing this concept into the purview. So therefore, the major factors we need to see is how do we understand the body. How do we also scientifically evaluate the person coming to us with some assessments, bring in that very important evidence-based approach, so that we are able to design protocols, processes, and a lot more into patient care and make it very, very authentic. Now, coming on to the preventive healthcare, a lot more has been mentioned. Now, three major aspects: Dinacharya, your daily regimen from the time you wake up until the time you sleep. Everything plays a very, very crucial role. Now, people say that I'm sleeping for 8 hours, but what time are you sleeping? sleeping at 12 o'clock in the night and waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, is that just the 8 hours you need? It's definitely not, because it is the sleep quality, the sleep time, and what we call as sleep hygiene is extremely important. And why is it important? That's because it balances all your hormones. When we talk about serotonin, when we talk about melatonin, all these are essentially there and working very well in the night, and they have to influence the the way the body behaves. And that's where Ayurveda specifically mentioned waking up at the Brahmi Muhurta, which is the intense phase where people would be very thoughtful. You can think well, especially when you wake up in the morning. So therefore, every child is told by the parent that you wake up in the morning. Likewise, it defines Rutucharya. Every seasonal change, what are you supposed to do? Every season, what are we supposed to take care of now? For example, winters are slowly coming in. Indian subcontinent is going to experience winters rather. So what is the type of care you need to take? How are you supposed to balance your digestion, that is your Agni, and what kind of prevention you can do? So this is where Rutucharya plays a role. And Satprutta talks a lot about how you optimize your mental faculty, conduct yourself a lot more. So we always think that the preaching is only food related, lifestyle related, but the preaching is much beyond that, because it tells an individual as to how he or she has to live. So this is more about the personalization into preventive care. When we switch and understand how yoga defines, because Ayurveda and yoga are very well connected. Okay, though they may look like two different systems of medicine, they evolved during the same time, one focusing on the psychological aspects or the mental abilities, and another focusing on physical abilities. Not that Ayurveda never spoke about the Yama Niyama, never spoke about the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the mental components. So when we look at how yoga defines, very nicely they say, Ahimsa Satyamasteyam Brahmacharya Aparigraha. We all know, okay, what is ahimsa? It's just not non-violence. That's how we got our freedom. But we are not just talking about that kind of non-violence alone. We are talking about how we can bring that concept into ourselves and try to help our body evolve much better, evolve our personalities better. So, every aspect can be taken up in a very, very deep context, but I'm just giving a very classical overview. Same is with niyamas. There are two major preventive care mechanisms mentioned in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. They say that Shaucha Santosha Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. So when we talk about how the Shastras, even the Upanishads mention, it's very important for us to maintain the purity of mind. Okay, it's like the lotus emerges out of murky waters, but the lotus is so pure, so good in its insides. When somebody looks at it, feels very fresh and good. Now that is how we'll have to work on ourselves. So there are different ways and means we do it, and this is where we'll have to understand how things can change. And the impact is at different levels, physiological, psychological, and there's a lot of higher brain function changes, perception and performance changes, and overall also changes at the level of improvement of fitness. This is where we can very clearly see the impact of yoga, and there's a lot of evidence which is available with respect to Ayurveda and yoga being also integrated. Rather, just to slowly sum it up, I wanted to bring this context of how we brought in the integration of Ayurveda and yoga in the management of migraine. So this is how it works. When we talk about the discussion part of a particular scientific study, we start understanding what is the impact it creates. So when we say Ayurveda, I just mentioned about Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So we say migraine is a Pitta-related problem. What modern physiology says that there is an increase in oxidative stress which can relate to migraine. What yoga says and it says, talks about stress. It calls it an adhija vyadhi. Now here, when we give somebody an Ayurveda Panchakarma treatment and we put them on yoga therapy, which is very personalized, we see there is reduction of oxidative stress and reduction of sympathetic response, bringing in a parasympathetic dominance. Now, what are these two? They're basically nervous system The autonomic nervous system, which has two components. One is something which stimulates you. One is something which relaxes you. What is relaxing you is called a parasympathetic system. What is stimulating you is called sympathetic system, because we need both of them, right? We always cannot be always relaxed. Then most of us will not be working, or will be always very, tamasic in nature. So overall, when we intervene by these therapies, we have seen that the inflammatory cytokines, the oxidative stress, all of them have reduced, and there has been, a reduction of the headache intensity, frequency, and this is how we have found a change. Now, this is where we know that they can work independently, but when they're brought together, they can really give us a lot of long-term benefits, which is quite cost-effective as well. And we need to understand that these systems are very congruent to traditional belief systems in our society. And these systems are just not for a group of people, it's for everyone. It's for the children, adolescents, adults, women, and the elderly. And this is what I have for all of you for now, and happy to open up the questions further to the forum. Thank you very much, Mr. Sudhakar and Dr. Prasad.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. That's a wonderful introduction to the basic concepts of yoga and Ayurveda. We are very thankful to you for presenting the basis on which the applications are drawn. I'm sure from your point of view, this is a very important basis on which treatments and therapies, management and rehabilitation, so on and so forth, everything is based on. Like every science and every medicinal theory, you have evidence-based frameworks and you also have a theoretical basis. But what is more important probably for the people who are listening today on the screen is about specific applications in specific situations. And I'm sure a little bit of framework, a little bit of basis. From there, we will now move to a large part of application-oriented questions through the two clusters of Q&A that we are going to take up. But I want to thank you for spending your valuable time in sharing with us how important it is to know that it is evidence-based and it is tested and it is actually time-tested, and therefore how one can look at larger and wider application, how one can make it as popular as allopathy, or how one can look at some of these therapies and treatments as a go-to therapy instead of looking elsewhere. But I think we need to create those situations and we need to create that narrative and make it very simple. Then only I think a common man will latch on to some of these benefits which are lying there. For example, how do we optimally use our body energy, the physical energy, and how do we optimize our mental energy? I think some of these parameters are at one level extremely theoretical, but another level it can be extremely practical and useful if it is deciphered and offered in a very simplified manner. I am also very happy that we are joined by some wonderful people around the screen today. I want to acknowledge their presence. We are joined by our senior advisor, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, and many people from education domain, technology, even medicine from around the country. I welcome all of them, and we'll have a very good conversation now, beginning the Q&A. I'll request Professor Prasad to start the cluster number 1, and I'll come back for the second cluster of questions. Over to you, Professor Prasad, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. I think the key points as far as the motivation for us as well as for the audience, first is that there is huge potential for this combination. However, there is a need for research which you're doing. And there's also a need for evangelism, of a certain type, because it's too much at an introductory stage, perhaps except for those in India who already have adopted to this. So in this context, I think your presentation is most welcome and gives us the foundation. So I'll start with a personal question, ma'am, first.
Yeah.
Normally doctors, Ayurvedic doctors, they go out and practice. You have also come into integration, research and evangelism in a certain way. So what motivated you to take this direction?
I think it's, of course, 23 years now since I've been practicing. So, it's always, I think it shows the way. So you have to be very passionate about what you do. Even when we had a chance, maybe after BAMS, I had all chances to practice allopathy, which many of them do even now. But it's important that when you're taken up a science, you understand what the science is talking about. That's why Ayurveda is always said to be a science of life. Ayurveda means the science of life. So when we look at it and start understanding, it's very intriguing. So it always helps you to start understanding more and more, and that's how the passion continued to progress very well. And then little bit when we do Ayurveda medicine, we also learn a little bit of yoga. So since I got interested in that a little more, I wanted to do my master's in that, and then of course moved on to do a PhD because I was very keen on doing something in the field of migraine, because we definitely saw very good results, but we wanted to document it. That's where, and because we started bringing in the integration, we started understanding how where the difference, rather the difference between integration versus just adapting these systems as they are, as one of the systems. Started finding the differences, and that is where integrative medicine was slowly imbibed into practice. After a couple of years, maybe the first 5-6 years, I very hardcore practiced Ayurveda, and then started understanding and slowly brought in. And from then on, there's no looking back. Rather, started introducing acupuncture as well. So we work in the space of bringing together Ayurveda, yoga, and naturopathic medicine, where we concentrate on especially acupuncture when it comes to pain management, which is one of the specialty areas in which even Vivekananda Health Global works, and myself.
Excellent, ma'am. This is a wonderful path. Now, let me also pose a problem in this particular area where a lot of work needs to be done. Science welcomes a lot of additions, provided I'm talking about Western medicine and Western science, provided we put it into the framework that they want. Now, what is right now, what is stopping, because I think this is understood for many decades now. However, this combination, or for that matter, Ayurveda individually, still at a global level, it is at an introductory stage. I mean, it's not taken off in the growth potential that it actually has. So what do you think needs to be done? What are the issues involved, and what needs to be done in order to take that path?
See, globally, people have been receiving Ayurveda, but in a small way, like you said, and it also depends on which area it is. Now, for example, you look at pockets like Germany, Austria. I think it's been a few decades, maybe at least over 1.5 decades or close to 2 decades, they've been very receptive, but very small population is probably receptive, and not the larger population. Likewise, US, UK, it is also going on, but nowhere it is legalized. Okay, Germany is the only country which has legalized Ayurveda in the recent past, but nowhere else. So Ayurveda medicines, which is one of the primary part of the treatment, can never go as medicines there like we do in India. So this is a lacuna. So we can do external Ayurveda therapies, but an Ayurveda doctor here cannot be called an Ayurveda doctor there. Now, all these are the legalities which we have to break through, and definitely popularize it the way it is. It's a wholesome. It's become the science has been cut short into a herbal supplement science, or just Abhyangam Shirodhara, the external Ayurveda massage everybody is fond of, which is a very, very small speck of the whole component. I would say like a drop in the sea or an ocean. And this is where we'll have to break the ideology into, and we should represent Ayurveda the way it is. And yes, governmental norms and regulations are a lot more important from this. Otherwise, we're going to dilute the science and present it in bits and pieces based on the country's likes and dislikes. But it matters. So recently I was in Korea, and we have a center there. We've been largely working in the field of yoga and yoga therapy, which means yoga for a particular disease management. So slowly now, for the last 1.5 years, Korea is totally zero on Ayurveda. So we just brought in those concepts, and then this time I did an Ayurveda-based cooking session, because we'll have to really make them first, draw their attention first. So we had very good participation. They were all very happy, started understanding these concepts of Agni, which I was just mentioning, the gut microbiome and a lot more. And we did an Ayurveda level 1 certification program with them. So I think this is how we'll have to start, but we'll have to take it the right way. And the most important for it to penetrate is, I think, the governmental rules and regulations.
Madam, just a supplementary to that. If you look at the government's interventions and support systems right now, what are the 1 or 2 things which need to be done? You're pointing towards that in order to take this to the next level.
So in India, of course, government is all supportive, because Ayush has received the kind of attention it needs to, especially in the last decade. Is a lot more. But when you talk about countries outside India, the regulation has to be that, like you take Western medicine as an oral consumption, Likewise, Ayurveda is not allowed. They only allow it as in a supplement form, and they have a lot of norms for a lot of checks and balances, and their opening up is not going to be easy. So we'll have to really bring in a lot of thoughts. It's just not one person who can even comment further. So that's the only area which needs more attention. Rest of it is happening in, as I said, in bits and pieces based on the country's norms, likes and dislikes.
But what is stopping what you're saying from happening? I mean, you have so many experts in India. So what do you think needs to be done to get that, minimal critical level to break into another country?
It's more of the pharma regulation. Pharmaceutical regulation is very good right now in India, but the acceptance of the regulatory norms is not very well accepted outside India. So they either talk about heavy metals or something else, which may or may not be right. So we'll have to understand is it a lobby or is it something beyond?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. I was told that you are a bit short of time, so I'll take a comma here, pause here, and if there's time, I'll come back to Professor Rao.
Thank you very much. I think the things that we are trying to understand is what is stopping this medicine and the integration of these two actually going popular, the way the other medicines are popular, and they think that this is alternative medicine, and alternative medicine has actually not become very popular. So that is the bigger question that we always have. And the fact that we are trying to put Indian knowledge systems at the center point of our thinking and of our agenda at a national level, in spite of that, within India, this is not so popular. Although we accept and admit in a manner that it belongs to us, but it doesn't become a part of our pill box.
I'll just take a minute to answer this question.
Yeah,
because I have to take the onus of it, being from that profession. See, what happens is 5,000 years ago when it started, everybody was doing this. It was a part of their pill box. You look at any traditional text, they say they drink this kashayam. So it is still there in our roots, but it is forgotten. So there was an era where we were ruled, by Britishers, and there was a transition from the traditional systems to the modern Western system. And now we have been definitely influenced by that. So it is going to take time to also not get totally influenced by that. That era has started, and it is, I think, very important for the people in the field to work towards it. So there are ifs and buts everywhere. Not everybody doing an Ayurveda medicine or anything in the Ayush systems is practicing only that system. So there are a lot of other things as well. So it's important for us to make a mark and ensure that people who are taking our services are the best people to also talk about it and be our own brand ambassadors. So it has started. I think we just have to wait for years to come, where slowly the transition will happen. Maybe the revival of our traditional knowledge is going to be much more and not restricted.
Okay. Yes, there's a lot to be done there. But I have some interesting questions, and I'm selecting these questions because of the paucity of time. One such question is, how do we maintain, I'm reading it from the list of the questions that we received from our members. So how do we maintain or sustain the energy without actually running out or doing the regular fitness that is more popular? So how do we use probably yoga, and how do we use Ayurveda without actually running around? How do we maintain the energy, the bodily energy and the mental energy? That's the question.
Yes. So it's very important that we definitely maintain our energy. Yoga is one of the best solutions available. Now, what actually yoga does? Okay, yoga is an aerobic form of exercise. Now, let's just understand somebody is in the gym and one person is doing yoga. Now, this person is running on the treadmill, running. Once he moves out of the treadmill, it stops. How's his heart rate? His heart is beating faster. How's his respiratory rate? His breath rate is faster. Is he sweating? Yes. What is happening? Sympathetic stimulation. I just spoke about it. And now the other person is doing yoga. Yes, he may be doing Surya Namaskara, but after Surya Namaskara, he is going to relax. And then the person is also going to do some pranayama practice. But I just want to tell the viewers also that yoga is just not about asanas. Don't get carried away just by folding yourself. It's like just bending your body. yoga is all about mending the mind as well. So bend the body and mend your mind is a very important context to yoga. And what happens when somebody completes a yoga session? His heart rate is slowed down, that is balanced, respiratory rate under control. He's not sweating, he's very relaxed. So this is where the energy consumption is there in both, but the energy consumption is not taking away your energy in yoga, but it is also kind of renewing your energy back. So if you do a regular practice of yoga, minimum say 30 to 35 minutes or 40 minutes of yoga every day, I'm sure you'll feel the change. And you'll also start feeling guilty when you become very regular with yoga after a period of time when you miss yoga.
Amazing, amazing. What you're saying is that yoga is not just restricted to asanas that are more popularly seen, but it is, and also in your own words, it is not just bending the body, it is actually bending the mind. I think that essentially drives home the point. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that question. I have one more point. Do you have any specific suggestion for startup founders, especially in that area? They are highly stressed out and they have to find solutions and they have to compete and they have 100 things to actually take care of. Are there any specific solutions and suggestions for the startup founders which are drawn from the fundamentals of Ayurveda and yoga?
They have to just take 20 minutes out, at least in the morning, for themselves. That's the first thing they have to understand. Because we have also seen many of them just spending nights and saying that I'm just trying to build my company and I just don't have time. And I see many patients like this because the area where we have our center in Bangalore, one of the areas we have is an IT hub, HSR layout, very close, and it's a startup hub of Bangalore. So we see a lot of these people around us. And first they have to start with this, that I take 20 minutes out and I take, if possible, another 20 minutes out in the evening or at least 10 minutes out. And what do? In the morning, I do some stretches, I just do some relaxation, I do some pranayama so that the mind-body balance starts. And what it does is it influences your physiology. Your stress levels start reducing. Because when stress increases, there is the stress response, which increases your hormones such as cortisol. And it is important for you to bring down the stress response. Otherwise, it's like it has increased this much, tomorrow it will increase this much, day after it will increase. So your stress response is piling up. By doing this 20 minutes of yoga every day, you are trying to balance out the stress response, which is very important not to invite any health problems. And when you're back in the evening, maybe home, but you might take up your work from home option once again for yourselves and for your company. Still, you have to take a small break. So working consciously is one. Second, also ensure that you're very conscious about switching over. You bring all the thoughts of your office home, and you, of course, will never take the thoughts of home to work. So slightly trying to evaluate yourself, trying to bridge the gap, and trying to switch on and switch off is also important for stress reduction, so that you can even prevent sleep problems and a lot more affecting their health.
Amazing. I think this is directly useful to those listeners who are subject to a lot of stress in their workplace, not just the startup founders, but a large majority of them. This one answer actually addresses queries emanating from various walks of life who are subject to high stress. So the first point is to take a break, switch on and switch off, and reduce the stress levels. And of course, practicing pranayama in a manner that is not very difficult for you to practice in your sitting position, in your regular office cubicle place. Also, you can actually undertake these things, and therefore it is essentially doable. And this is a directly beneficial kind of a suggestion that you're given. Thank you, ma'am. I'll open the mic for Dr. Pyali Chatterjee. Srinath, can you do that, please? Okay. In the meantime, there is another question that I would like to take up, ma'am. That question is about, this looks like a consultation without paying you any fees, but let me put everything together. And that is, what are your suggestions for addressing back pain, sciatica, and something else, Parkinson's disease? I'm clubbing all these three. These are three different questions from different individuals, but I'm just putting it together so that you can quickly respond.
I'll take back pain and sciatica together because they originate from your lumbar area. So you might have different problems, but your back is aching for pretty long time. So it's chronic back pain, which is irritating this person who has it. Sciatica is nothing but there's a long pulling sensation. Once again, very painful condition, and people cannot even do their regular work when they have sciatica, especially in the acute phase. Now, how we treat this is one, using Ayurveda external therapies. Along with that, we do acupuncture because it's the integration which brings down pain. Otherwise, what will people do? They'll go and take painkillers. Now, Ayurveda also has medicines. So, according to Ayurveda, this is a Vata disorder, a condition which is inflammatory in its nature. So, it's a Vata condition. And we give some medication which reduces the Vata so that the pain response is better. And along with that, we do some external treatments. They're called Katibasti, Abhyanga, and some fomentation therapies. And along with that, we also do acupuncture. Now, after this, maybe for a course, it's not for a day or two, it's usually 7 days or 14 days of daily therapies at the outpatient clinics or under admission. And after this, we essentially recommend yoga therapy, which is an individualized session. And many of the time, either a person trained with the masters in yoga or a doctor who's trained in yoga is taking up these sessions. So we train them for 5 or 7 sessions, 1 hour a day, and ensure that they practice themselves later. Because the take home is essentially yoga, which is going to ensure that the muscles, the tissues are all strengthened to prevent further recurrence also. And this really gives us wonderful results, and we have found great and significant changes.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. This is applicable to back pain as well as sciatica. That's what you said.
More or less similar line of treatment, but it can vary. But Parkinson's, since there was a question on Parkinson's, you are aware of dopamine. So dopamine, synthetic dopamine, in Ayurveda, we talk about natural dopamine. It's just not about medicine, which can help in supplementing dopamine, but it is also about therapies. A lot of Ayurveda therapies which can help enhance brain functions. And yoga is a wonderful addition to Parkinson's disease, because it can help gait imbalance, it can help progression of Parkinson's, and it can also help the person sleep well, reduce stress, and a lot more. So in combination, when we work, it really does impact the patient's condition.
Amazing. Combination is more potent. Amazing. That's the takeaway. Fantastic, ma'am. So quickly, I request Dr. Pyali Chatterjee to ask a question. Over to you, Dr.
Good evening, ma'am. It was really a wonderful lecture, ma'am. You have given lots of information relating to Ayurvedic and benefit of Ayurvedic. Ma'am, I had 2 queries. First thing is that we heard lots of things about acupressure, then acupuncture treatment also. I am from Raipur, Chhattisgarh, ma'am. So when I was searching this acupressure expert for my mother treatment, I didn't find this particular person I was unable to search accurately that who are the expert in this field, how we can check it. That is the first query, ma'am. Because most of the time, the person whomever I have met, he has just learned it from someone. But I personally don't know whether he is an expert or not, whether I should go for the treatment or not. That is the first query, ma'am. And another thing is that you have well said that Ayurvedic has not been adopted in India also, still now. Because 4 years back, ma'am, I was ill relating to endometriosis hyperplasia. And at that time, doctor told me that I have to remove my uterus or I will suffer from uterus cancer. That was the last statement that the doctor has given me. But after lots of research, I have found that if I reduce my weight, if I change my lifestyle habit, maybe I can overcome this problem. And from last 4 years, I am not taking any kind of medicine after changing my lifestyle, after reducing my weight. But no doctor from the allopathic, they have not even ever suggest me that you should change all those things, because there is a chances if you do it, then you can get rid from your problem, whatever you are having. So this is one issue, ma'am, why the doctor, they don't suggest for Ayurvedic or any other alternative medicines.
Okay. The last part I won't comment. Okay, but it's all about, again, integration, working together. See, we also work, I personally work with a fertility expert here in this area where I regularly practice, and we've seen wonderful results for cases of endometriosis, where people have got fertility issues, or PCOS with fertility issues. I'm just taking one example only. So it's all about belief system. Okay, so I also may not believe in Western medicine, being an Ayurveda and a yoga practitioner, but I also know why I should believe in Western medicine. So it's about the context. It's about individuals, I would say. It's if you don't believe in something, if somebody says, no, you're not supposed to take Ayurveda, there are a lot of side effects. Something happens, I'm not responsible. If a Western medicine doctor tells you this, I feel it's more ignorance because they are not trying to understand what exactly it is and how exactly it can work. Likewise, if an Ayurveda person also tells, it's all about ignorance. So I think we should pace up a little more to understand what is right, what is wrong, and then talk about all these aspects because everything is rooted well. Now, your earlier question was on who is right, who is wrong in terms of understanding. See, in India, we don't have many doctors practicing acupuncture or acupressure, but we have a group of doctors as well. Like most of our all our centers, we don't have any acupuncturists or therapists. We only have doctors who are called naturopathy doctors, basically come with the medical degree of BNYS, which is Bachelor of Naturopathy and Yogic Sciences, a very popular medical course, the same 5.5 year medical course. They are trained in acupressure, acupuncture, all the naturopathic treatments, yoga therapy as well. So, as mentioning during the conversation that we do personalized yoga, they are the doctors who actually do it. Okay, and either the doctors who are trained in yoga also do it. So, this is the right way. Figure out if you have a BNYS doctor in your area, they will be the right people to administer acupuncture. Otherwise, you'll have to find out people who have done an acupuncture course, which is for about minimum 1 year. Otherwise, you don't have anything. But abroad, it's a very classical line. 5 year, 4 years course of acupuncture is available, and there you have no quackery. But in India, you have to be careful about quackery.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for clearing my doubts, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Very quickly, we'll take the question from Dr. MVK Sharma, please.
Good evening, Dr. Sharma. It's been a wonderful session that you have given, and given the overview of what this entire science is all about. Given that it has got phenomenal potential and it's been years or centuries that is there in the part of an Indian this one, why can't the MCI put in some of these concepts into the regular MBBS program so that there is an integrated medicine that comes right from the the student enters into the system, and we have a unique way of providing healthcare other than the Western, because most of today's this thing is borrowed from the Western sciences. But why can't we be innovative in terms of influencing the MCI to bring this integrated of Ayurveda, Ayush, everything together as a part of the West? We take the best of everything to provide to our students and provide that as a unique program.
Thank you for this question. So basically, there has been a very slow progress in this field. And government is trying to bring in something like a course in integrative medicine, but it may not happen in near future. But some deemed universities like NIMHANS here in Bangalore, which is National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, they have introduced an integrative medicine program for, I think, 6 months, which can be taken up by any doctors, whether it's allopathy doctors or Ayurveda, anyone, because it's about integrative medicine, but their core focus right now is psychiatry. But otherwise, this is where slowly people are understanding, but it is still a very, very small percentage of people. We also have to break, the kind of thought process of the people, that's the public. And we also have to penetrate and bring in more openness in the medical care professionals. But believe me, right now, at least in a city like Bangalore, it is a lot opened up. We definitely work in collaboration. We ourselves have collaborations with some of the very good hospitals here in Bangalore, and there is research, especially going on in even institutes like AIIMS Delhi. They're trying to work on cardiology and bringing in yoga therapy into cardiology care. So likewise, in each area, work is going on, and people are definitely opening up.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much, ma'am. I think taking forward the discussion on integration, I think there's a great deal of integration is possible of merging Ayurveda, yoga, allopathy, Unani, so on and so forth. Theoretically, I'm saying, I really don't know. But I think we will take the next question from Sukhbir Kaur. That's the last question we take from the audience before we go back to Professor Prasad.
Yeah, so Good evening, everyone. My question is Marma therapy also included as part of alternative medicine, included in your line of, treatment? So, because what I know about is that this is one of the tools which can help us in preemptive medication, rather than going to finally, a response and stimulation, that kind of a situation, cause and effect kind of a situation. But yeah, preemptive solutions are possible.
Yeah. So Ayurveda does talk about Marma therapy. The whole science has emerged out of Ayurveda, but Marma therapy as such has evolved with certain traditional Marma therapy practitioners. And even if Ayurveda doctors do it, they train themselves under the traditionally trained Marma therapy practitioners. Otherwise, it may be very injurious to somebody's health. Otherwise, it's a science on its own, but it has not been brought as one specific medical course as such. And even in Ayurveda, they do not teach or bring in any other Marma procedures as such. So, if you want to, really take up Marma therapy, you just have to be very careful about the person you're going to, and you should have enough information about the background of the individual.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful, ma'am. I think you have very patiently responded to all the queries that seemingly look silly, but they are very important to the audience. Therefore, they have raised those queries. Thank you very much for that. I think we have room for a question from Professor Prasad. I think that can be the last question, if you permit, ma'am.
Sure, sir. I think yes. We'll go ahead.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Ma'am, after having listened to the session, the ray of hope I'm finding is with respect to the collaboration. Because there is there are what I would call lobbies, interest groups, and it is difficult to break into those interest groups. It is there here, it is there in the West, and obviously they will be there. Now collaboration is one way by which you can break in, so this is a positive point. The other thing which a problem which I can see, because personally if I see my sample group of my family, maybe I am a believer, I take up all these things, but I find that there are others with many doubts. Now being in the management profession, to me, marketing and communication seems to be a core problem here. Because when you're saying in a certain way, it is getting understood, but it is dry in the sense that the intellect is understanding, but the emotion doesn't follow. So the manner in which there seems to be a problem there. What do you think can be done on this?
Yeah, see, as you said, marketing and communication is key. So we will definitely have to have a lot of outreach programs to educate the masses. So that is one way. And we also have to have the outreach based on the intellectual capabilities of the people also. So you have to look at the underprivileged in a different way, the intellectuals in a different way. Now, if I talk about brain research and a lot more to in a person who is, of a less educated background, he or she may not understand. So bringing in a lot of awareness, which is outreach programs from any organization which is into these spaces, is one of the key. And we have been definitely working on that area, and that is where we're doing a lot of outreach wherever possible, and whatever possible within our purview.
Perhaps there's potential for far more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that there's no end to it, sir. And it's also about other communications, just not about the organization's communication. There is a mix. Now, internet is flooded with so much of information. I may be saying something right, but one more person may be feeling she's talking wrong because he has listened to something else which he has felt is right. So there is a lot of confusion also in the people. And in this, since you made a remark here, there are many non-professionally trained people who have become wellness coaches and health coaches and a lot more. And I would say government has to bring in some regulation there.
Thank you, ma'am. Reminds us there's quite a bit to be done. Thank you very much. Back to Professor Rao.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. I think ma'am has responded to that question more in acceptance, but I see that you want to actually launch an MBA program for them with specialization in marketing and communications as well. But that's the problem. I mean, whether we agree it openly or not, that seems to be the problem for the system of medicine that we are talking about. Why it is not penetrating, why it's not moving forward, even though the government is interested. I think it's a marketing issue. We need to work on that definitely. But interestingly, ma'am, if you have seen the kind of questions that we have had just now, and also some kind of perceptions that we are carrying, these point to one very important determinant, and that is that this particular science of medicine, this application that we are talking about, say Ayurveda or yoga or Unani or allopathy, we all behave like the way we behave in practicing our religions. Not all religions are dogmatic, but our social approach to practicing religion is largely dogmatic in the sense that we are not open to listening to others. The borders are not porous. The good that we can take from each of these things and integrate, if we draw a Venn diagram of all these practices, I'm sure the best is always available for the user. Rationally, we know that, but we don't blend. The two circles don't come together. We therefore, our approach to even treating this body of knowledge also is dogmatic in the way the socially we practice it is dogmatic, just like the way we practice religion. But religion has so many better things, so many good things, so many things that can appeal to our spiritual life and our regular day-to-day living, philosophical upbringing, and the ability to handle and absorb pressures, stresses of life. All those things, there are benefits in religion as well. But the way we practice socially is with closed mind, closed borders, very, very hard borders between each religion. And looks like that's where it is. That's only a comment from my side. Yes, as Professor Prasad has said, we need to work on it. There's a lot of potential for us to delve into and make it useful for the humanity. On behalf of everyone here, ma'am, I would like to thank you from the bottom of our heart. On behalf of ICFAI Group, we would like to tell you that we are present in about 20 cities. We have 11 universities and business schools, tech schools, law schools, schools of architecture, schools of social sciences, liberal arts, so on and so forth. And also, we have universities where we have pharmaceutical sciences. We have paramedical courses running, not the medical courses, but paramedical courses running. So it's a large organization. We would like to take your help at any point in time, wherever you are traveling. Also, we would like to invite you to one of our campuses. The nearest to you is right now Bangalore. We have a deemed university there on Mysore Road. We would love to request you to visit us anytime. Professor Harish is on the list of people who have joined. But also we have senior leaders, Dr. Shantanu Roy from Dehradun, and many people from Hyderabad and other locations, like even Aizawl, one of our leaders from Aizawl has joined. So just in case you travel to that part of the country, we have 5 universities in Northeast. One of them is Aizawl, ICFAI University, Mizoram. We would love to welcome you, invite you to talk to our students and faculty members at your convenience, ma'am. With this, I want to thank you for your time and energy.
So thank you very much for the invite, and I think it was a mutual experience either side. And ICFAI is definitely a very well-known institution. Nothing to say more there, and look forward to definitely meeting somebody from Bangalore sometime. Yes, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week on 25th of October with yet another leader. Till then, go to Vivekananda Health Group, VHG Global, and understand the case studies that they are talking about in terms of therapy, in terms of management and rehabilitation that they have undertaken. I think there are larger nuances there that we need to understand. And if there are any queries, one can actually place a query there or call up. I think that will be addressed and responded to as well. However, if you have additional queries that are not resolved here, you can write to us. We will also contact ma'am and seek her time whenever it's convenient to her to respond by email, and we'll share it back with you. This conversation, ma'am, will be shared with you in a video format as well as a summary. I'll request you to share your PPT with me, and we will attempt a summary draft and share it with you. Once you approve, we'll host it on our archives with your permission.
Sure, sure, definitely. Thank you very much. It was
thank you all. Have a great weekend and good night.